Welcome to the first episode of the Bridge Podcast. I'm your host, Brett Henry, and today I have on my guest. And like when I figured I was going to do this, I'm like, Ash has to be my first person. So this is Ash Tyler. Camera's going in and out, but we're just going to go as long as we can hear you. That's all that matters. So um, I guess I'll give my intro, how I met Ash. About a year ago, 2 years ago, I'd woken up that looked like, okay, religion probably isn't the correct thing for me. Where do I go? And I started diving down this rabbit hole of spirituality, but that's a whole nother can of worms that you can really get into and get sucked into and get lost again. And so my wife introduced me to Ash, and she was just like, yes, this is everything I need. And the big thing of what I like is Ash tries to tell us, like, find our power within. We don't need any of these external sources. Everything we need is within here. And that's like what really resonated with me. So Ash, welcome. Would you care to give a brief description about who you are and what you do?
Yes, hello, nice to meet everyone. So my name is Ash Tyler. I am probably known as Ash Supernatural Sagas on TikTok. I first went on, I guess, my awakening journey round about, it must be about 14 years ago now. First off, I was very much down the path of New Age spirituality, which has just as much problems as religion. When I was brought up, I had one side of the family that was very religious, Catholics, and the other side were atheists. So I was very much brought up in a middle path, which I'm glad that I was now, because what I've learned on my journey is taking pieces from everywhere, religion, spirituality, and just seeing what part fits.
Yeah.
But I first started getting into helping others on their journeys 5 years ago. So I am an energy healer, a remote viewer. And if you don't know what remote viewing is an ability that we all have, ability that we can all tap into. It's the ability to tap into a location, for example, and be able to pick up information through all of your senses and your sixth sense about what's going on at that location. You can really learn a lot through remote viewing. It's very fascinating. And I'm also a hypnotherapist as well, and I teach hypnotherapy too. So yeah, that's a bit about what I do. It's been a very interesting journey, and it's lovely to be here today to share a bit about that.
Awesome. Thank you, Ash. And Ash is, yes, if you looking for spiritual guidance, go find Ash on TikTok. She has 100 and something thousand followers, and you will learn a lot. Your mind will be blown. So, I'm going to dive in here, and what I was wanting to kind of bring to the table today is, I mean, most of you guys know I was born and raised LDS, a strict, Christian background, if you don't know what the LDS or Church of Jesus Christ is. And so that's how I was raised. And when that started to not jive with me, I kind of woke up and like, oh, there's a whole bunch of other spirituality that I had no knowledge of. And so I started exploring that, and there's a lot of scary places you can go. And so I'm like trying to find this happy place of like, okay, because there is truth in religion, like all the religion, the Bible, Book of Mormon, whatever, there are truths in there, but they've just been skewed to almost control us and entrap us. And so that's what I'm wanting to wake people up to. And like me and Ash have had several um, sessions together where we talk and explore these things. And one thing I remember when we were doing a clearing on somebody is you talked about the laying on of hands. Like I explained to you, like, hey, when your baby turns one, they do this prayer and put their hands on their head. And you were just like, wait, they put their hands on their head, like on their crown or where? And I'm like, yeah, crown, third eye, like in any of those spots, just depending on what's going on. And that was alarming to you. So I guess when we are, because we're not exposed, like we don't know spells, like what was our words or spells, like that doesn't ring a bell to us, like is then. So I guess, can you explain your outside opinion? And by the way, like Ash really didn't have any knowledge of the LDS Church till I brought it to her forefront and started explaining things. And so just from an outside spiritual standpoint, what does that feel or mean to you when somebody puts their hands on somebody's head and gives them a blessing or recites words that are very specific and have to be recited perfectly? What does that mean to you?
So I guess I would probably start off this conversation by saying that I believe that there are an elite group who runs this country and sorry, this world, and this
Yes.
elite come from a very elite bloodline that's went back through and spans through generations upon generations. These elite families are in control of everything within the world, and that includes all head of all religious structures as well. So what these elite groups are into is they are into the occult. So they do satanic rituals under the guise of something else, under the guise that things that are good for us, basically. Now, the whole world is full of these rituals without us even realising. So, for example, even watching the news, you know, the
Yeah.
words that's coming through the news, even those words are spells, essentially. So the whole world is being subjected to spells, right? But something that this happens a lot in is through religion. Now, I agree with what Brett said. I read the Bible. So I read the New Testament of the Bible. I love the Bible and I get a lot from reading it, but I'm able to discern and put my own interpretations on it. There's seeds of truth within every religious
Yes.
structure. Absolutely, right? I believe in a higher power, God, creator of all that is. I believe in God. I believe in Jesus. But religion, the way things are just now with these elite groups running things, they are inverting what's good. So when it comes to the rituals that we spoke about placing the hands over the third eye, so what this does to someone in a spiritual level is the pineal gland. It places a binding over the pineal gland. Essentially what that does, it places a spiritual binding, and when you look into someone's energy field, it can be a cross that's there, an inverted cross, right? That's
Mm-hmm.
there, and it basically shuts down this person's sixth senses, right? That's the best way that I can explain it. It shuts down the
Yeah.
person's sixth senses. Now, don't get me wrong, you have, priests and people that are involved in religion who are very good people as well. There's
Yeah.
no doubt about that. There's some priests that I follow who I think are amazing. So not everyone who performs these is going to be dark, right? But
Yeah.
when you're in somewhere like the LDS temple that we spoke about, which is the main one in Utah, right? I was
Yeah. The
familiar
Salt
with
Lake City one. Yeah.
one. I was familiar with that. That has caught my attention several times. But I am not, I am a complete outsider when it comes to the LDS religion. So,
S-
I don't really
So,
have
since
access to that.
yeah, so since we're on the topic of the LDS temple, when you remote viewed that one in Salt Lake, what did you see? Because it made your list of top 10 darkest places you remote viewed, and like you had like Antarctica, you had um let's see what
Vatican.
was the
Vatican.
Vatican was number 4, and I think the LDS temple is number 5. So tell us what you saw or what you felt there.
Okay, so when I remote view somewhere, it is like I'll go into like a trance when I do this, right? And there's a lot of people that say remote viewing is demonic. That's not true. You cannot condemn all of something the same way as we're talking about the dark side of religion, but we're not condemning all of religion, right?
Yeah,
The same
yeah.
goes for remote viewing. Remote viewing can be an access point for demonic beings to come through. There's no doubt about it. But when it's done safely, it can be used, honestly, to learn so much from it and to do a lot of energy work as well. So when I remote view, I'll go into a trance and then I will take my consciousness to the location where I'm remote viewing, and it will be like I am walking through it, right? So it will be like
Uh-huh.
I'm walking through it, I'm seeing things everywhere and I'm picking up exactly what's there. So when I remote viewed the LDS temple in Salt Lake City, Utah, the reason that came to my attention is I have some friends who alleged that they were abused through the LDS Church as children. So it caught my attention. So the first thing that I looked at was the energetics of what's going on. So what is very interesting is the structures that I have named as the darkest locations. They are actually all built upon very powerful grid nodes. So the whole of planet Earth is surrounded by grid lines, right? And
So
if
these are
these,
like ley lines too, if people hop on
yeah,
Google, correct? Okay.
Yeah, so grid nodes is points where the ley lines interconnect, right? So basically, these points, the spiritual veil is extremely thin. The veil between the spiritual and the physical is so thin. At these points, it's almost non-existent. So these points are used to harness extreme power. But when it comes to the elites that we spoke about, they invert that power. So they use it for the opposite. They use it for suppression, right? So
Yeah.
all of these powerful structures like the Vatican, the LDS Temple, the Washington DC obelisk, I can name so many, they've all been built upon these grid nodes. That is not a coincidence that they have been built there, because what they do is they do rituals upon these grid nodes to open up demonic portals, right? Because the
Yeah.
veil is so thin. So when I remote viewed let me just check how many. Yeah, so there was in total, right in the area where the LDS temple sits, there was 6 demonic portals, but one was
Uh-huh.
actually a lot bigger than a portal. It was a vortex. Basically, through the portal, it means that demonic beings, they have easy access in and out, right? So it means that they come in, out, in, out, in, out all of the time. It's an access point for demonic
Yeah.
beings. This is a building that is meant to be holy, right? So it should be the opposite. It should be pure, beautiful, Christ-like energy that's coming through, and
Yeah.
it's the opposite. It's very, very dark. So that's the energetics of what I've seen. Then I was immediately taken to the underground. So it's not the building, it's the underground of the building and what's going on. It was massive, absolutely massive underground, the LDS temple. So you can pick up energy transfers. So any trauma that happens in a place, that energy transfers to the location. So you can pick it up if you can read energy. That's why when you walk into buildings, they can feel really heavy.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's trauma imprints that lie there, right? So I picked up a lot of Can I say words
Yeah.
on here? Can
And
I
it's funny
say anything
because
on
our
here? Yeah.
internet connection is going in and out right as we're talking about this, and it doesn't surprise me. So hopefully Ash comes back in here in a minute.
Let me, hang on.
Yeah, yeah. But right as you were
Okay, let me
talking
know when
about
I'm
it, it
back.
started shutting down. So yeah, you are back now. So yeah, keep going.
I'm back. My back, yeah.
Yep, yep, you are.
This is what happens. Like they'll mess with technology and stuff, right, to
Yep.
try and silence you. So, what was the last part you heard?
So, well, you were just talking about what's going on in the basement there, and I think Ash just lost her connection. So we'll see if she can pop back in here. This happens quite often though. Like when you have these meetings, we'll wait for Ash to hop back in. When you have these meetings, the technology, like I've noticed this for the last year, like as soon as you start talking about something like this, your technology goes out and quits working. So we'll see if she can get a better connection here and pop back in. I'm just gonna check my WhatsApp here. Nine, then we're good. Okay, we're back. The universe is trying to stop. It's not the universe; it's evil people trying to stop us from talking. Okay, so you're talking about remote viewing the basement of the temples. You said there's huge underground. What do you see going on down there?
Yeah, so I seen, quite honestly, what you would describe as like an underground. I say an underground city, but I'm talking about the size and the scale of what's underground as well.
Yeah.
A good example to look into of how they build underground structures that's public knowledge would be the Rothschild's house that's up for sale
Mm-hmm.
in Paris. That has a full underground city. Well, that's exactly what it looked like, very similar to that. So there was like underground kitchens, underground ritual rooms, and they are ritual rooms. That's exactly what they are. There's a lot of inverted symbolism there, like the upside down cross and things like that. And it looks kind of like a bathroom, the way that it is.
Okay.
It looks like an old Turkish bath. That's what it looks like. They've got a very similar one in the Rothschild's home that's up for sale as
Yeah.
well. It had so many of these trauma imprints that the energy down there it made me feel sick. So I
Yeah.
know when I feel sick, like physically sick to the point where I have to sit down, that is when I'm getting so overwhelmed with very dark energy and trauma imprints. I actually felt like that when I went to the Rockefeller Center in New York,
Yeah.
various places in New York, I felt the same. So because of the amount of dark energy that I was picking up underneath, I was also getting a lot of visions of child trafficking down there as well. So, which is it's something that I never get used to seeing either. I do find that hard, right, to see that.
And when you say child trafficking, people assume it's like it's just for like sexual pleasures. What are they really doing? I mean, they are doing that, but that's kind of like the least worst thing. If you care to expand on that a little bit more, it's the sex is like the bottom of the barrel for it.
Yeah. Sadly, you're very right. It's very, very dark that having that knowledge, if the whole world knew of that knowledge, they wouldn't be able to handle it as well, right? Because it's so
Yeah.
dark. It's so hard when you're a good person. It's so hard to imagine how evil people can actually be. There's a ritualistic side to that all, which would be satanic ritual abuse as well. I do believe that higher ups from all religions out there are involved in this as well. Um, why they do it to children and why they target children is because children are still so connected to God. So they have this strong connection to our Creator and they want to use that energy for nefarious purposes. So this is why they target children. Yes, they make a lot of money out of that as well. So there's of course that side to it as well, but there's a spiritual side to all of that. The more of that energy, they don't have that energy themselves. So these elite groups that I'm talking about, they are so disconnected from God, it's unbelievable. So they don't
Yeah.
have that energy themselves. So they look to recreate that energy and take it from others essentially. So that's why children are targeted. They also take the blood of children as well for adrenochrome, which is quite widely known. It's known to be one of the biggest conspiracy theories. There's no conspiracy about
Yeah.
that. It's happening.
And this is Hollywood. This is literally the world. This is how the world elite run. This is
Yeah.
what they're doing.
Yeah, and that's the conspiracy theory will talk about how the adrenochrome, that's to keep them youthful. Well, that's just a
Hmm.
tiny slither of what that's about. Spiritually, it's blood rituals as well. It's blood
Yeah.
rituals that they're doing by drinking the blood of children. It's even horrible talking about this, isn't it? Because it's so
I
dark
know.
and
You can feel the energy is just heavy, but it's like people need to know like this is going on.
it has to be spoke about because I truly do believe that the more people speak about this and raise awareness of this, the more light is being shed on these things, and these are the areas that need light the most. So the more people who are exposing and speaking up. So I would urge anyone that's watching this, if you've had any sort of an experience with these things, speak up about it or speak to someone about it, because it makes such a big difference the more people coming together and are whistleblowing, and that's happening a lot. If you had told me about this stuff, 10 years ago, I wouldn't have believed in this 10 years ago,
Yeah.
genuinely, right?
There's no way this is happening. Yeah.
Like, I wouldn't have believed. I was always interested in conspiracy theories, but I never like fully believed anything. But it
Yeah.
actually was through my work in energy healing and hypnotherapy that I started to see the truth and see what was happening, because something that, and Brett will understand this, but something that I do in hypnosis with people is memory retrieval. So I
Hmm.
started seeing a lot of people who I would be doing memory retrieval because they would come to me with all sorts of issues, and they would go back to being ritually abused, sexually abused in church-like settings when they were younger. And that led me towards going down all of the rabbit holes and remote viewing and just getting as much information as I could about these,
Yeah.
about what's going on in the world, because I'm a truth seeker above anything. I
Yeah.
want to know the truth. That's what I want.
Yeah.
I want to uncover the truth about what this world is. And I do believe it's much darker than what yeah, what we can imagine.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I feel like, especially in Utah, where I was born and raised, I mean, we're very sheltered here. Like number one economy in the United States, very low crime. Like we are very protected that way, but it's everything going on underneath the surface that nobody realizes. And like this is where the real damage is happening to our kids and to our neighbors, and we nobody knows. So here's one other question for you. So we have, and this kind of ties into this. So we have our temples, and the temples is like where people go to worship, meet with God, and then we have our church buildings where like people gather every single week. And anybody who has been in charge of locking the church, and it's funny because I always said this before I even woke up, like, why is this the creepiest building I've ever been in? You go over there at night and like a grown man, like ask any guy who's in charge of locking up the church at night. It is the creepiest building to go in. You don't want to go in there, and you don't want to go in by yourself and walk around. It's like, why is that? This is supposed to be a holy place. So I guess what's going on, and every Sunday we do certain rituals, and so I was going to kind of go over those too. But what's if you have remote viewed any of those churches, like what have you seen?
Any of what churches? Sorry, the other
Oh,
ones.
yeah. So it's we have the temples, and then we have smaller church buildings that we meet at every week to like worship. So
Okay.
the church buildings, and those are the ones that are like super creepy to lock up. So
Yeah, okay. So I haven't actually remote viewed those yet. We are going to do a
okay.
part two, so perhaps I could do that and then
So
we could come
we'll
back and see
yeah,
what I see. But that doesn't
for sure.
surprise me either. It doesn't surprise me that they've got this main temple. So see the main temple is that do people go there as well to the main temple? Like what's in
Yeah.
your
So
church?
the main temple is where you're supposed to go. Yeah, yeah. The main temple is you have to have a temple recommend to get in there. Oh,
Okay,
anytime we talk about the temple, it's a hot button because our
that's
oh, okay, yeah, I think our connection's back now.
yep, all good.
Yeah, it's anytime we bring up the temple, it starts acting up. Let's see if you're. We'll give it a second here. This is amazing. It's actually like watching this happen in real time is pretty amazing. So let's see. Can you hear me now, Ash?
I can hear you. Can you hear
Okay,
me?
perfect.
Yeah. Okay.
I can. Yep. So I guess let me dive into another part that just hit me here. Um, how come all the leaders of the church are like Skull and Bones members or members of these elite secret societies? And what's religion's deal with that? I guess let's start there. So who do you believe is leading the church of the LDS Church, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints?
Who do I believe is leading it in human form? In human form, it will be
Or
the
what? No, what is their soul? What is their soul origin? And this
what
is
is
probably going to
it?
shock a lot of people. So, what do you think their soul origin is?
Reptilian.
So she said reptilian. The connection's still bad, but she said reptilian. So what does that mean if a reptilian is leading the church?
Okay. So I believe in there's multiple different kinds of interdimensional beings, right? So you have demonic beings, you have other kind of dark entities like lower level astral entities. You also have reptilians, which would be classed as negative ET. So the reptilians have a massive amount of power. So when it comes to reptilians, they have no humanity whatsoever. So they're even worse than demonic beings, like so much worse than demonic beings. They have a lot more power than demonic beings as well. And they are behind every institution in this world, not just religion, every institution in this world pulling the strings. So I believe that top officials in governments know this. They have a treaty with them and they exchange knowledge and technology in exchange for humans to, and again, that sounds so dark, but that's what I believe is definitely
Yeah,
happening. So the reptilians, in order for them to survive, they feed off of negative energy, especially fear. And when I spoke about children being so connected to our Creator, they want to feed off of that energy because they don't have that energy themselves. So I believe they're behind every institution. So you talked about the skull and bones being one. So this is the thing with these elite bloodlines. They're all in these secret societies. Secret societies are the human forms that's running this world. You know, you've got the skull and bones, you've got the Freemasons, you've got the Jesuits, and I believe that every key player who we see and, you know, the top of every religious structure, at the top of every government, they're all in these secret societies, and then behind the
And
secret society,
see,
you've got
yeah.
the reptilians.
And all those things you just mentioned are actually part of the LDS Church. So, like, the LDS Church is high. Like, I had no clue what Freemasons were until, like, I stumbled upon it once I started searching. And I was just like, all these Freemason ceremonies are literally the exact same ceremonies we do in the LDS temple. And we were told that, like, these were divine revelation from God through Joseph Smith. And come to find out, like, all these temple rituals, the handshakes we do that are supposed to be secret, like, only, well, that's how we get into heaven. We're the only people who know how to do this. It's like, why do I see the prophets doing these handshakes with other world leaders when they meet them? And I'm just like, well, those are supposed to be secret. How do these other people know it? So how are, I guess, what can you tell me about the Freemasons? Because, like, our last prophet was a member of the Skull and Bones, and our church is literally mirrors Freemason, and there's Masonic lodges right next to it that are all interconnected underground. And so how they're just another, that's like another secret society that's ruling the world, or what can you tell me there?
Yeah, so when it comes to the Freemasons they say it's esoteric teachings, right? Ancient esoteric
Yeah,
teachings, but they are very focused on the occult. Now, again, I don't believe that everyone who gets involved in Freemasons know what they're following or what they're getting themselves into. It's the
yeah,
same as people who go to churches, no different. So again, I don't think badly of people who join Freemasons either, right? Because it's more like
yeah,
they're being deceived. So when
for
it comes to
sure.
the Freemasons, this is the key thing that the Freemasons do. So, ritualized wording, right? So they have ritualized wording, right? They have specific hand signs, specifically the handshake that they do. They have symbolic purification, ceremonial clothing, and covenant making as well. And something that they teach is the vow of silence, so you cannot speak about anything. So does this correlate with the LDS Church
Yes, and like when
that
we,
they teach?
yeah, and when, yeah, exactly. And like when we do our things in our temple, we're not supposed to talk about them outside of the temple or with people who aren't of our faith or religion. Um, and so, yeah, it is very secretive. And like, that's the crazy part. When you go to the temple for the first time, you have no clue what you're doing. You literally show up, and it literally just like, you just go through and do these things, do all these hand signals, sign stuff, do all this stuff. You have no clue what you're doing or getting into until you're like in it, and you're just almost pressured to you just go along and don't ask any questions and make all these vows. And they used to have, the vows have changed quite a bit over the years. This is before I started going there, but they used to actually do symbolic things like, if I talk about this, I will slit my throat, and you'd have to make this sign in the temple, and then like you shout Hosanna, 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 and yeah, there's a lot of symbolism in there. But the Masons are definitely very much entrenched in the LDS religion. Okay, we're running out of time, but I want to get to a few other things, and I don't know if you've had a chance to tap into this one yet. Um, the remote, or the Granite Mountain Records Vault that's owned by the LDS Church is known as the Vault. It's pretty much one of the most secret places, that really nobody even in the religion knows what's there.
Wow. Okay. Connections then again. Can you hear me all
Oh,
right? Yeah. Ah. Can you hear
okay,
me? Yeah.
yeah. It is pulling up now. Okay,
Okay.
yes, yes.
I haven't tapped into that yet, but I think what I'll do
Oh,
is before the next time that we meet, I can tap into the smaller churches that you were speaking about and tap into that. And I'll take some notes about what I see because it's quite good for me to
okay.
look into this because I don't have any knowledge of the LDS Church, right? So I prefer to look into things that I don't have any knowledge of, because it means that there's no bias that will get in the way of the information that I pick up. So
Yeah.
I can look into that I can look into that. There was actually something I was wanting to ask you, but like, what was it that led you to leaving the church in particular? Like, was it some specific
Um,
things?
the
Like,
there's two things. One is they hide abuse. Like I've seen abuse be hidden in my own neighborhood, in my own ward, in my own family, and so I've seen the church actively hide abuse. Which, if they're all for protecting children, why do we cover up abuse so much? And there's hundreds of stories of the church paying people $300,000 and make them sign a non-disclosure agreement to sweep abuse under the rug, and a lot of these things are coming out. So just how they preach like the children are the most important thing, but they're going out of their way to protect abusers and sweep abuse under the rug. And the second bigger thing is how they treat women. And like I know like this was the last thing on here, but I don't know why women are so suppressed and used in the LDS religion, and I'm going to have women coming at me, and it's crazy. It's almost Stockholm syndrome. I will have we are not abused, we are not suppressed, we have all the same powers you do. You guys can't hold the priesthood, and they'll say, "Oh, you could do priesthood blessings in the temple when you're a woman." And it's like, no, but it's always under the cloak of a man. And I guess like on my spiritual journey, I found, and you know this, like the divine feminine, like that's where true power lies, there and in love. And these world leaders they need us to run in shame, fear, and guilt. And so, and especially if they keep all the women in the shame, fear, and guilt cycle, they'll never wake up and realize their true divine power. So I guess, yeah, if you could touch on that a little bit, and I guess that's what I really want to get into. And that was the biggest thing for me, is like, why are women so suppressed? And it's not just in this religion, it's in just about all religions in the world in general.
yeah, well, if you look at all religions, women can't hold a place as like in priesthood, like you said, it's impossible, and that goes for all religions as well. So, if I was to fit myself into a religion, I wouldn't be able to do the work that I'm doing, right? So, like we've said, religion,
Oh
there's a
yeah.
lot of there's a lot of ways in which it can be very helpful to people, but there's a lot of ways in which it suppresses as well, controls and puts fear into people as well. Like, I do not believe that our creator is someone that we should fear either, and that's, everyone's taught to fear God and everything. I just don't believe that that's what our
Yeah.
creator is. When it comes to the feminine energy and why this has been so suppressed, is the feminine energy is what's needed in order for the world to evolve and change. Now, when it comes to the feminine energy, that's more about the emotional and the intuitive side of things, which humanity has lost for a long time. There's a lot of people starting to
Yeah.
get that back. But humanity's lost that. They've lost that intuition for a while. So the reason that they suppressed the feminine energy so much is because they knew the feminine energy held the key to humanity's growth and evolution. So you have, and this is a whole other subject, but you have a lot of people who have, there's certain light codes that you carry within your DNA. Science would call it junk DNA. It's not, it's light codes that you carry within your DNA. A lot of people carry the divine feminine unity codes within their DNA, and you have people that carry the divine masculine unity codes within their DNA. So there's a need for this unity to happen, right, within the feminine energy. If you think about females are pit against each other as well, in
Yeah.
competition with each other. It's like that in the media, in Hollywood, everywhere females are pit against each other. There's no unity when it comes to the feminine energy, because they know that when that feminine energy unites, it's game over for dark forces, because it's just going
Yeah.
to create ripple effect through the whole universe in which everyone will unite. And the last thing that these elite groups want is unity. So everything in this world is designed to divide and conquer, specifically with the feminine energy. Now, if you think about it as well, so in religious structures plus the media, you've got females being looked at is less than, right? So less than males.
Yeah.
So it's predictive programming as well. The subconscious mind doesn't know the difference between true and false. So the more the information is put through our subconscious minds, even if it's false, if it's repeated, we will start to believe it. So the powers that
Yeah.
be, they know the more that lies are repeated to us, our subconscious minds will just start to believe it because it can't tell the difference between true and false. So you have all of this predictive programming within the world that women are less than, right? Women are inferior. And this is because they do not want the feminine rising in power, because like I said, the minute they do, it's game over. And this has been happening for a long, long time, the suppression of the feminine energy.
Yeah. Well, and yeah, I appreciate you bringing that up. So I guess we got what, I don't know, 15 minutes here. What I what I'd like to do is, like, if somebody, because I have people ask me questions on a weekly basis, like, what do I do if I don't believe in religion? What do I do? Because I don't want to get lost down New Age spirituality either. So I guess, my both of us agree, like, you need to find like a hybrid right in the middle. What are some of the traps of going down the New Age spirituality and completely go, like, you have religion clear over here, then you have New Age spirituality clear down over here. What are the traps on the New Age spirituality that people need to be aware of if they start going down this rabbit hole?
You're right. There's literally traps. There's traps everywhere. There's traps in religion. There's traps in spirituality. Spirituality is equally as harmful as religion in so many ways, because you have these
Oh,
elite
lost her
groups and
again.
these dark forces have infiltrated all of these
Let's see here.
things.
Stop.
So the key